Have you ever looked at a word and felt that something seemed off? Not because of the font, not because of the color, but because the letters felt either too close together or too far apart. That feeling is often caused by tracking. Tracking is one of the most important concepts in typography, yet many people confuse it with kerning. While kerning adjusts the space between individual letter pairs, tracking changes the spacing across an entire word, sentence, or block of text. In simple terms, tracking controls the overall density of text. Think of typography as a crowd of people standing in a room. Kerning is like adjusting the distance between specific individuals. Tracking is like moving the entire crowd closer together or farther apart. Both affect spacing, but they work at different scales. When tracking is reduced, letters move closer together. The text becomes more compact. This can create a strong, bold, and dramatic appearance. Luxury brands often use tight tracking in large headlines because it feels refined and confident. However, too much negative tracking can make words difficult to read. Letters begin to collide visually. Shapes merge together. The reading experience suffers. On the other hand, increasing tracking adds more space between letters. This can make text feel elegant, open, and sophisticated. Many fashion magazines and premium brands use generous tracking to create a sense of luxury. But excessive tracking creates its own problems. Words begin to fall apart. Instead of seeing a single word, readers start seeing individual letters. The natural rhythm of reading is interrupted. Good tracking finds a balance between these extremes. It creates harmony. It improves readability, and it supports the overall tone of the design. Tracking becomes especially important in headlines. Large typography often benefits from subtle tracking adjustments because scaling a typeface changes the way spacing is perceived. A headline that looks perfect at one size may feel crowded at another. Professional designers frequently adjust tracking manually to maintain visual balance. Tracking also plays an important role in body text. Most typefaces are designed with default spacing intended for comfortable reading. In many situations, those defaults work well. But depending on the font, layout, and medium, small tracking adjustments can improve readability. This is particularly true for digital interfaces, where text appears across different screen sizes and resolutions. Tracking also affects emotion. Tight tracking feels energetic, bold, dense, powerful. Loose tracking feels calm, premium, modern, minimal. The same word can communicate entirely different moods simply by changing the spacing between its letters. This is why typography is about more than just choosing a font. Typography is the art of controlling visual relationships, and spacing is one of the most important relationships designers manage. Tracking is also deeply connected to hierarchy. A headline may use one tracking value, a subheading another, body text another, captions another. These subtle differences help create structure and guide the reader through information. Without proper spacing, even beautiful typography can feel confusing. One of the most common mistakes beginners make is adding excessive tracking to body text. At first glance, it may seem cleaner, but over longer reading sessions, it often reduces readability. Another mistake is applying heavy negative tracking to small text. While it may look stylish, it can quickly become difficult to read. Professional typography requires finding the balance between aesthetics and function. A useful way to evaluate tracking is to squint your eyes. Instead of reading the words, look at the texture of the text. Does it feel even? Do certain areas appear darker or lighter? Does the spacing create a consistent rhythm? Typography should feel cohesive, not crowded, not fragmented, just balanced. Modern design software makes tracking adjustments incredibly easy, but that convenience can sometimes lead designers to overuse it. The best tracking adjustments are often subtle. A few units in either direction can completely change the character of a design. And in many cases, the viewer will never consciously notice the change. They will simply feel that the typography works. And that is the goal of great typography. So, what is tracking? Tracking is the adjustment of spacing across a range of letters, words, or entire blocks of text. It controls the overall openness or density of typography. More importantly, It shapes readability, hierarchy, mood, and visual rhythm. Because in typography, the letters matter, but the space between them matters just as much, and tracking helps designers control that space with precision.